About 15 minutes from where Border Patrol is rolling out that razor wire, armed members of the military are doing the same.
That's right. Our 10 News reporter Matt Boone continues our live coverage right now at the port of entry in San Ysidro, where troops are on a mission to harden the border there. Matt.
Steve, those active duty troops have been out here for several days. Earlier, they could be seen down here in between the lanes heading into Mexico. You can see those K-rails down there covered with layers of barbed wire. They were out here working on those, and we've got some video from earlier. You could see them actually building those and then bringing them down the lanes towards the entrance into Mexico. Government officials say it's part of the process of hardening the border in anticipation of that migrant caravan, the bulk of which has not yet made it here. The active duty troops include Marines from Camp Pendleton. There are expected to be more than 1,000 active duty troops deployed to the border here in California and about 7,000 across the entire southern border of the U.S. Part of the process has also included shutting down 3 of the lanes coming into the U.S. here at San Ysidro and 1 of the lanes at the Otay port of entry. In video from Sky 10, you can see the lanes on the western side of the entrance have been closed. It's not yet known exactly what the effect will have on traffic, though it could have an effect on local businesses down here, according to the Chamber of Commerce.
The thing that affects us probably most is just the image of the military and barbed wire and all of that at our border, because we have such a binational region here, and most of us, cross every day. Just that image alone will keep some people away.
And according to CBP, all these fortifications, the military, and those lane closures will remain in effect indefinitely until they feel that any threat that the migrant caravan may pose has passed. Reporting live at San Ysidro, Matt Boone, 10 News.
The fight to keep our border safe dominates the headlines.
But that border extends beyond the coastline. Territorial waters reach well into the Gulf of Mexico.
Tonight, Eyewitness News military reporter Luke Simons gets rare access from the U.S. Coast Guard to see how they protect our border over open water.
Mission vessel with numbers 2696. This is a U.S. Coast Guard aircraft 2313. Stop your vessel.
The tide has turned with illegal activity spotted from a Coast Guard aircraft 10 miles north of the United States-Mexico border.
You're fishing in U.S. waters. You're in violation of U.S. law.
A Coast Guard HC-144 is in hot pursuit of a lancha, a small boat known for transporting illegal narcotics and fishing illegally in the United States exclusive economic zone.
They know where they are. They know where they're not supposed to be.
The job of this crew? Keep that illegal activity in sight and relay the information to command in Corpus Christi.
213, thank you. Can you guys can't tell that the vessel is a lancha, verified lancha?
That's affirmative. Vessel passes a verified lancha. Over.
To make it beneficial and profitable to fish illegally outside of the territorial waters, as well as to run illicit drugs or do any kind of smuggling, to do that risk, they need to have the payoff.
The Gulf of Mexico provides the United States food, energy, jobs, and recreation. This year, more than 1 billion pounds of fish and shellfish will be caught legally, bringing in even more revenue for Gulf Coast states. More than 150,000 jobs exist in the Gulf, and illegal activity like this can hurt the entire U.S.
I think that most people's perception of the Coast Guard, it comes from the movie The Guardian, where a lot of what we do in that particular movie is search and rescue. But that's just a small fraction of what we do. The Coast Guard has 11 statutory missions. Down here in South Texas, primarily we focus on law enforcement, enforcing laws and treaties, and search and rescue.
We are on board an HC-144. It has a crew of 6, and this is basically the Coast Guard's eyes above the water all the way to the border.
It's easy for us to be at 5,000 feet and see something 10 miles away, especially with the camera capabilities that we have.
They got a bird's eye view of everything, so they're able to let us know where everything's at.
From Coast Guard Station South Padre Island, a 33-foot special purpose craft and crew are called to intercept the illegal fishermen.
We're open 24 hours a day. Our border goes out to 200 nautical miles from shore, so it's a vast area. But yeah, day to day, it's extremely difficult out there.
Shrimp boats, barges, and many other vessels in the Gulf all get a look.
Oh yeah, there's a launcher out there.
Most are following the laws, but others are looking to fish illegally, smuggle in narcotics or people. The Coast Guard crew has to be ready no matter when or what the incident might be.
It's very challenging, very, very challenging. With being offshore like that, it's a very dynamic environment. With the Mexican launches in particular, they use them for not only for breaking U.S. fishing laws, but they also use them for smuggling immigrants and also narcotics as well.
And going, it's like the Energizer.
An illegal fishing net like this one can bring in hundreds of pounds of fish. Just last month, the Coast Guard stopped a lancha with a net nearly 1 mile long. In that net, 139 sharks and more than 400 other fish, all taken illegally.
I couldn't be more proud of these guys. I mean, we've had 60 of these launches since October 1st that we've gotten. Some people might throw their hands up, but my crew's willing to go out there and just keep on doing it.
And whether it's illegal fishing, smuggling of narcotics or people, the Coast Guard's motto, Semper Paratus, always ready, rings true along the border. Reporting with the Coast Guard near the U.S.-Mexico border, Luke Simons, KENS 5 Eyewitness News.
So how much are you spending on seafood from the Gulf?
Tomorrow at 6 a.m. on KENS 5 Eyewitness News, we're showing how much illegal fishing can raise those prices, plus how important it is to have the Coast Guard protecting our borders.
Soldiers from Fort Hood are on the ground at the border. They are supporting border protection operations over in Donna and in Weslaco. Now, the troops are delivering fuel and providing water, showers, laundry, and vehicle repairs. They're also setting up a supply area for food, vehicle parts, and other general supplies that are going to be passed out as needed throughout the area.
Former State Senator John Woods making a bold plea to the president in hopes of getting his prison sentence shortened or suspended. Woods is serving 18 years at the Federal Medical Center in Fort Worth in Texas for fraud charges stemming from a kickback scheme. Woods sent a letter to President Donald Trump volunteering himself and 79 other prisoners to build the border wall at the U.S.-Mexico border. Woods says he appreciates the president's strong stance on border security. In the letter, he states, since we are located in a border state, the logistics of this endeavor would be minimal. Mobile housing or FEMA trailers would be adequate living conditions for us at this work site. Prisoners are a willing and untapped workforce.
U.S. law enforcement officials are training Mexican government agencies to combat organized crime. Starting today, Mexican law enforcement will receive a 3-day border security training, focusing on areas officers have identified they need to strengthen on.
It enhances investigative techniques such as fraudulent documents, investigating crime scenes, and also something to deal with the medical, providing medical in the field. So it has nothing to do with Caravan.
Officials say the training aims to build a better working relationship between local and federal law enforcement agencies to make both the U.S. and Mexico safe.
New at 6, federal, state, and local law enforcement are teaming up with their Mexican counterparts to take part in a 3-day border security training. Bill Barajas traveled to McAllen, and as he explains, the operation includes helping law enforcement south of the border with investigative tools to combat criminal organizations.
It's a 3-day training event. The focus: crime scene evidence processing, adult death identification, and first aid. It also helps when it comes to building a relationship with our neighbors just across the river.
I thank you for standing on the side of law and order and against the forces of chaos.
The room was full, U.S. and Mexican law enforcement on the same page. It was a forum for sharing experiences and law enforcement techniques. The panel included the FBI, Border Patrol, State Department, local police departments, and Sheriff's Office. Listening carefully, members of Mexican law enforcement eager to learn and build relationships.
A prime example of how this training benefits our counterparts, they were involved in a gun battle with transnational criminal organizations, and the medical training that's provided in the field saved the life of one of their officers that was bleeding.
Because of the very complex nature of the criminal threats we face today, it requires law enforcement around the world to cooperate, and so events like these are helpful in helping us to build relationships.
This is the second year for the training, and law enforcement officials expect it to continue for many years to come. In Mission, Bill Barajas, KSAT 12 News.
A 3-day multi-agency training for U.S. and Mexico border security is underway today.
The Department of Homeland Security, FBI, Texas DPS, Border Patrol, Hidalgo County Sheriffs, and McAllen Police will meet with Mexico law enforcement for the next 3 days to strengthen relationships between local and federal agencies on both sides of the border. This will be the second year of the training. Border Patrol Assistant Chief Javier Rodriguez tells us their counterparts have already seen great success from what they've picked up last year.
They were involved in a gun battle with transnational criminal organizations, and the medical training that's provided in the field saved the life of one of their officers that was bleeding.
The training will focus on medical applications out in the field, investigating crime scenes, and detecting fraudulent documents like passports and IDs. U.S. officials say the better Mexico's law enforcement is, the safer our borders will be.